Hey guys, welcome back.
Welcome back, you crazy pod people.
Hey pod people, welcome back.
Hey, we're feeling a little crazy today.
Just a touch.
This is Bev.
And this is Diz.
And this is...
Trigger warning.
I kind of did that one like a game show host or something.
I like it.
That was kind of cool.
That was fantastic.
So today we're doing spooky.
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 That's exciting. We haven't had one of those for a hot minute.
I know. Well, this is the first one of the second season. So we're still doing our states because I couldn't get all however many we have. How many do we have? This is the U.S. I have
50 states.
50 states in the U.S. and we have 50 of them, and I couldn't do all of them in the first season.
Right.
So we're only on Arizona. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So we're going to do Arizona spooky today. And
fun.
Yeah. So I do have some Arizona trigger warnings.
Oh, you do now, huh?
I do, yeah. So of course, since this is stories about hauntings, they're kind of vague. So everything that I mention's kind of brief, but, it's the name of the podcast, so we're still going to do the warnings.
We like that.
So there's mention of suicide, there's mention of death of children, and there's mention of murder.
Okay. Thank you for those.
A little background on Arizona. It was made a territory in 1863 and officially became a U.S. state in 1912.
Oh, wow.
When you hear the dates, it makes you realize how young of a country we still
really are.
Yeah. That's why I didn't know how many states there were. We're still new. Before that, it had a history with Mexico and Spain, and it had been populated by indigenous people for like 12,000 years. So,
okay.
Yeah. So it's been around for a while, but not as the U.S.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And most of the stuff I found as far as like spoopy stuff was in the 1900s, because that's when white people went to Arizona.
So they actually, yeah.
But first, I'm going to talk about the olden times.
Talk about them.
The Wild West times.
Ooh, fun.
So when you think of the Wild West, or see a movie about it,
yeah,
because most people probably don't sit around and think about the Wild West, but
most probably not.
Your brain conjures images of rugged cowboys wearing long coats and boots with spurs, carrying guns, traveling across the dusty plains as they ride into the sunset. Or maybe you imagine a man having left his wife and children behind, eyes squinting against the harsh sun, his hopes resting on the possibility that he'll find their fortune and thus their future out in the wild blue yonder. And some of those wanderers found what they were looking for, and some didn't.
Oh my.
And some just struggled to survive. And the only way they managed was through a life of crime. So we're starting our Arizona hauntings with Yuma Territorial Prison. Ooh, wasn't that a lovely introduction to a prison?
That was actually very fantastic.
Yeah, I know. If I had some nice Western music playing behind me, I would have good.
That'd have been fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. So when Americans started heading toward California in 1849 during the gold rush, a lot of them were passing through Yuma. In 1850, Yuma built a military post. It's funny, like, a bunch of people are coming through. Let's build a military post.
Yeah.
Not a grocery store, a military post.
We don't want a dry goods store or anything.
So 8 years later, in 1858, they got their own gold rush in that area because gold was found in the Colorado River. And then in 1871, Yuma incorporated and became the county seat for Yuma County.
Yeah. Would never have guessed.
The prison was authorized in 1875, and a budget of $25,000 was approved by the legislature to build the Yuma Territorial Prison.
$25,000.
$25,000 in 1875 is equivalent to about $726,815 today.
Wow.
Which is still absolutely nothing to build a prison.
I know.
So, they broke ground on April 28th, 1876.
Mm-hmm.
And the first prisoners moved in on July 1st, 1876. And they actually forced some of the prisoners to help build the prison. So
I'm
they
not surprised.
Started building their own cells.
Oh, that would be horrible.
The prison was in service for 33 years until it was shut down. And it was shut down because of overcrowding. Sounds familiar.
Yes.
And the inmates were actually moved to another prison in Florence, Arizona. So over the years, the space was actually used for other things after it was shut down. From 1910 to 1914, Yuma High School rented part of the prison for use after the high school burned part of it.
Oh my gosh.
Their sports teams were called the Criminals.
Shut up.
And I think they still call them that today. They were like, yeah, we're proud of it. So from 1914 to 1923, the county hospital used some of the space. In 1924, the South Pacific Railroad demolished 1/3 of the western portion of the prison Hill, to lay new tracks. The guards' quarters were leased by the Veterans of Foreign Wars in 1931 and used as their clubhouse until 1960.
Wow.
In the 20s and 30s, hobos would stay in the prison cells as they hopped the trains crisscrossing the country. So they would just come and be like...
It was like a hobo hotel.
Yeah. Yeah. They already had cells, so they're like, this is my room. So, yeah.
Wow.
And then during the Great Depression, homeless families actually took up residence in the prison cells. They would just stay in there. It was shelter. It was like the only shelter they could find.
Wow.
So, but while it was still a prison, though, it housed around 3,000 prisoners.
Wow, that's a lot for them, especially.
There was never actually an execution held there, but it's said that around 111 inmates died in prison there, and it's believed that most of them died due to tuberculosis. There is a story of one prisoner who hanged himself in a cell, and a couple of inmates that died in a riot in 1887.
Always got to be rioting.
Yeah. The paranormal activities most often the strongest around what's called the dark cell.
Oh, great.
And the dark cell is exactly what it sounds like. Inmates who broke the rules would be stripped down to their underwear and chained in the cell in pitch blackness. Guards would actually, I don't know if this is true, but it's said that they would throw scorpions in with the inmates and joke that the glow from the creatures would provide a little light. I don't know if scorpions glow.
You know what? They do.
Do they?
Yes.
That's creepy.
I'm pretty sure that they do.
I bet some species probably do, but...
Because think about, like, the reddish, yellowish, orangish ones.
Yeah. They look like fire.
They just walk outside in Arizona and just pick them up off the ground, you know?
Yeah.
They just hold them to the light to charge.
Yeah. Rechargeable scorpions. Rechargeable scorpions is my new band name.
That's fantastic.
So it's basically like the worst kind of solitary confinement. The dark cells were basically solitary confinement. You're chained in like pitch blackness.
Okay. Side note. Hold that thought.
Okay.
This reminds me of so many of the spooky paranormal ghost. What am I trying to say?
Shows and stuff.
Yes, like Twin Paranormal and Sam and Colby. Shout out to you guys that you'll probably never hear this. And Project Fear and all these people, they'll go in, and a lot of times like these places were used during like the times of for TB and stuff, and then it would be like a psychiatric ward,
right? And
of course their thoughts way back then would be, let's chain him and treat him like a criminal,
right,
to cure them.
Yeah. And
so many times they would have chains on the wall, and there was this one, I can't remember where it was on Sam and Colby, and they had it chained like on the top floor. And on the other side of the room was where the orphans would stay.
Oh, that's cool.
And on the top floor is where all the really bad, they called them inmates, but they would stay. Oh. And be chained in pitch black, yelling, screaming, losing their minds.
Well, thanks for that segue, because paranormal investigators and visitors...
Investigations, that's what I was trying to remember.
Have claimed to hear voices telling them to get out or I'll kill you. In these areas. Yeah. One well-known ghost in this area is that of a little girl in a red dress that haunts the prison. And the story goes that the little girl was actually playing down by the Colorado River, which is nearby,
Mm-hmm.
and dropped her doll. And when she went to retrieve it, she fell in and drowned.
Oh, have mercy.
And so now, if she comes across a visitor she doesn't like in the prison, or that's wearing the same shade of red that she is wearing, then she'll pinch them.
Oh my goodness.
So she's not very nice. She's
you
kind
can't
of a little...
be dressed in like her. Girls don't do that.
Don't go visit Yuma Territorial Prison in red. That little gross girl will pinch you.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the prison with the little pinchy mean ghost.
Yeah.
So next we're going to Flagstaff, and we're going to visit the Monte Vista Hotel.
Okay.
So Flagstaff was getting a decent amount of tourism in 1924,
Mm-hmm.
but it was lacking in hotels. So basically the tourist would come into town,
Yeah.
and then they would leave because there was no place to stay. So the city's like, well, how are we going to get them to stay here and spend more money tomorrow when they get up? Like, they would come in and then they would leave.
That's a great
And it's
question.
like they need to stay overnight so that they can get up and do more and buy more and
and stay longer.
make us more money.
Right.
So a man named V.M. Slipher decided to spearhead a fundraising campaign to have a hotel built from a public tax fund. So he's like, let's get the whole city together.
Town involved, basically.
We'll create a tax fund and build a hotel, and everybody will basically be putting into it because it's benefiting everyone to encourage the tourism. So the result was an ordinance voted on by the city that established a municipal bond to build the hotel. So the Monte Vista opened on New Year's Day in 1927 and quickly became popular with the locals and the tourists. The first woman to get a radio broadcasting license, Mary Costigan, hosted her 3-hour radio program from room 105 every day.
3 hours?
Yeah.
Wow.
First woman to get a radio broadcasting license.
Okay, Mary.
And locals coined the phrase, meet me at the Monte V. Yeah, that sounds jazzy.
That's very
I like
20s.
it.
Yeah.
Meet me at the Monte V. And it was no wonder it was popular because it opened during Prohibition, but it was also Flagstaff's greatest speakeasy.
I love it.
I know.
Because everybody was going there.
Yeah. So people said, meet me at the Monte V, and then they would go and they would have drinks even though they weren't supposed to, until it was raided and shut down in 1931.
Lame.
So it opened New Year's Day, 1927. It was open until it shut down in 1931. But then Prohibition was repealed 2 years later. So it reopened and got back to business
Whoop.
2 years later.
Right.
Between 1935 and 1940, it actually had slot machines as the only ones that have ever existed in Flagstaff.
So fancy.
In the 40s and 50s, the hotel had a variety of celebrity guests. Most of whom were in the area shooting Westerns because they were so popular in the 40s and 50s. The hotel hosted legends like John Wayne, Gary Cooper, Spencer Tracy, Jane Russell, and Bing Crosby. John Wayne reported one of the first ghost sightings in 1950.
Shut your mouth right this second, not
He
John
did.
Wayne.
He said, Pilgrim, there was a ghost. He said he described the ghost as friendly and saw it briefly in his room.
What was it doing?
I don't know.
Waving? Can I get your autograph? What was it doing, John? Come on.
That's all we heard. That's all I could find on it was just that he saw the ghost. You know, he's a man of few words.
That is true.
A manager at the hotel said that he had heard a gruff male voice greet him with hello or good morning when he opens the bar in the morning. He said it could be the ghost of a man from the 1970s who died there. The story goes that 3 men robbed a bank nearby, and one of them was shot when they were trying to escape. So the men came into the hotel, hid out in the bar. They're kind of having a drink, trying to lay low, trying to blend in with the crowd. But before they could finish their first drink, the one that had been shot died in the bar.
Oh, no.
But because of the extensive history of the shootings, the drunken brawls, the cowboys on horseback in the lobby, there's no way to be sure who this person greeting this manager is every day saying hello and good morning.
Wow.
So, yeah. There are also, of course, strange things happening that you hear about in most of these stories of haunted hotels. Furniture moving around, noises that have no source, items being knocked down, the regular stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the lobby telephone will ring or band music will play from the second floor lobby when there's no band that's been hired. The staff at the hotel have actually become kind of accustomed to the strange phenomena, and they joke about some of the stuff, but in other cases, they actually make arrangements so as not to disturb their guests. So one example of this, in room 210, guests have been woken by a phantom bellboy who knocks with the announcement that room service has arrived. So it's after sleepy time hours. Bellboy knocks on the door and says, "Room service." They open the door. There's nobody there.
Creepy.
Because of this, the staff at the hotel try to make sure that they don't put guests in that room if they have a dog with them, because the dogs will freak out and tear up the room.
I mean, that alone proves to me that there's something going on,
Right?
At least at that room.
So the dogs will. So when the ghostie knocks at the door, that way the dog won't freak out. So
how
they'll try to
considerate of
make
them.
I know, right?
That's really nice.
They're like, "You bastard!" So that way the dog doesn't get in trouble for tearing up the hotel room,
right?
And doesn't freak the little dog out.
I love that.
Yeah. So, and then sometimes the guests of the room will also see an apparition of a woman wandering the halls. So at least she has the decency to show up, as instead of the bellboy just knocking and doing like where they ring the doorbell
Something
and run?
in ditch or ditching, whatever.
Ditch and dash, ding and ditch, or I don't remember.
You guys tell us.
I didn't
don't
do
remember
that shit. We didn't live in a neighborhood like that.
No, for sure.
So another room down the hall has some strange activity.
Ding dong ditch.
Ding dong ditch.
I stopped thinking about it and it popped in my head.
There you go. That's what it is. Stop using your brain and your brain works better.
That's right.
So another room down the hall had some strange activity reported, but the story actually comes from the 80s, but it's the 1980s.
Oh.
Yeah. So room 220, not 210 this time.
Okay.
Had a long-term occupant in the 1980s that was known to hang raw meat from a chandelier.
Ew.
There was nothing explaining why this man did this. I don't know. Anyway, so the man died in his room. Don't know what from. Possibly food poisoning, I'm guessing, if he's hanging raw meat around his room.
What the heck?
But his body wasn't discovered for a few days.
Ugh.
Strange, I know, because it seems like he'd have a bunch of friends. And anyway, so the guests in the hotel have reported hearing coughing and other noises coming from the room when no one was in it. And a maintenance man once reported that he completed some repairs to room 220, and when he finished, he turned off the light and locked the door. When he happened to come back a few minutes later, the light was back on, the bed linens were stripped, and the TV was on at full volume. In the Gary Cooper room, which I'm not sure if this is the same room as 210 or 220 or if it's a completely different one, there's also a story that 2 sex workers were murdered by being thrown out the window.
Oh, no.
And guests report feeling unnerved in that room, like they're being watched. And the pool hall in the hotel, 2 ladies of the night have been reportedly sighted just hanging out in the pool hall or in the lounge.
Oh.
And then in the 3rd floor, not to be outdone, has a ghostly spirit as well. Room 305 has a female apparition that's usually seen sitting in a rocking chair in the room. And the reports say that when the rocking chair has been moved, I guess if a guest stays there or if the staff moves the rocking chair somewhere else, it's found back in its place next to the window the following day.
Like she sat there and looked out the window, and
she's
that's
like, "Nah, bitch, that goes over next to the window where I can look out." Yeah, this is where it goes. So the Monte Vista Hotel is still in business today, and has a bunch of ghostly visitors, whatever. So it also has the record for being the longest publicly owned hotel.
Oh, cool!
So since it was founded in 1927 from that municipal fund until the 1960s, it was publicly owned.
Wow.
In the early 1960s, it was sold to a private individual. So the one from the 80s was the most recent one I found, but I'd be interested to see if anybody had stayed there and heard more about it. And I don't know, you always hear about these when there's like remodeling.
Yeah.
Or, like ghosts don't like change.
Because it changes
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if when it switched from publicly owned hands to privately owned hands, if they did renovations, if they did any remodeling.
I mean, you would think they'd probably do something.
If just that change made any more sightings happen.
Possibly. I could definitely see that happening.
So they better not remodel it, or they will go apeshit. While we're in Flagstaff, now we got to go to the museum club.
Oh, this sounds real fancy.
This is actually kind of interesting. This first dude sounds like me. So, yes, I'm weird. I'm just going to preface it with this. Okay, so this man named Dean Eldridge came across a petrified frog when he was a child in Wisconsin. And it piqued his curiosity.
As it would.
And as he got older, he became an adventurer and a collector. And he began a taxidermy business in 1918.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I couldn't become a taxidermist. I liked animals too much. It would make me sad.
Yeah.
But the curiosity thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in the early 1930s, he bought a piece of federal land on Route 66.
Oh, my.
Which is famous.
Super fame.
It's about 3 miles east of Flagstaff.
Okay.
To build his dream. So he hired lumberjacks that were out of work at the time and got them to haul trees to his property. And he claimed that he was building, quote, the biggest log cabin in the world. And later he would amend that to the biggest log cabin in the nation. And then it was the biggest log cabin in Arizona. But anyway, so it wasn't the giant spectacle he dreamed of, but it became his showplace, and he filled it with his lifetime collection of, like, everything. He had stuffed animals, and I'm not thinking plushies, I'm thinking like taxidermied animals, 6-legged sheep, Winchester rifles, Indian artifacts, 2-headed calves, over 30,000 items in this log cabin.
Oh my gosh.
The biggest log cabin in Arizona. Served as a museum, taxidermy shop, a trading post, and it was successful, especially as a fun place to stop on the famous Route 66.
Yeah.
Locals called it the zoo, and Dean Eldridge ran the museum club for 5 years until 1936 when he died of cancer.
Oh, wow.
When he passed away, most of his collection was sold off, sadly.
That's sad.
The building then changed hands a few times. It was a successful nightclub, a recording studio, and a roadhouse. By the 1950s, it was a roadhouse that had a pretty rough crowd. I like to think Patrick Swayze was up in there.
Swayze, that's right.
In 1963, a steel guitarist named Don Scott moved to Flagstaff with his wife, Thorna. They bought the club and turned it into a country music dance hall.
Okay. Don
Scott had spent time with Bob Willis's Texas Playboys.
I've heard of him.
And booked the band immediately, along with some new country acts, including Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson.
Oh, those guys.
So the museum club was a spot for people to book on their way from Nashville to Las Vegas. Barbara Mandrell.
Okay.
Wasn't booked when she showed up one night. She grabbed a guitar. She gave an impromptu performance. She was just on her way through. Was like, I'll play. Okay. So Don and Thorna Scott lived upstairs, and the club was thriving. They were surrounded by friends, the music they loved, they were making a living.
Yeah.
And then tragedy. In 1973, Thorna headed upstairs for the evening, but tripped near the top of the staircase and fell. She broke her neck, she fell into a coma, and died a few weeks later.
Oh my gosh.
Don Scott was understandably devastated. Plagued by memories of the event and constant loneliness, in 1975, he killed himself with a rifle in front of the fireplace.
Oh my gosh, that is heartbreaking.
Yeah. The place was basically famous for the people that ran through it. I mean,
yeah.
I know that it's an older group of country musicians, but Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Barbara Mandrell, they were huge country stars.
Yeah, especially in the 80s too. Yeah. That's really close
70s
to the
70s and 80s. They were huge. In 1978, the club was purchased and restored. So I guess it stayed empty for a while after he killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
So it was restored. Some taxidermy and period pieces were added. I guess somebody was trying to kind of bring back the beginnings of it, kind of tie it all together. live country and western acts still appeared at the club. And then Donna and Thorna Scott kind of started appearing too.
Oh, okay.
So reports of footsteps and creaks coming from the upstairs apartment, lights flickering on and off, chairs rocking back and forth on their own, fires lit in the fireplace when no one is around, all the classic haunting stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then Thorna herself has actually appeared to people. She's been seen in the back stairway and bar and has actually confused patrons who think that she's the bartender. She's been seen in dark corner booths where customers have actually bought her a drink and they return to the table with the drink and she's gone.
That is so cool.
So she's actually feistier than that, although that's kind of, ghosting somebody like that. Literally ghosting somebody is kind of funny. So there was one tale, though, of a man who was actually living in the upstairs apartment for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he was actually pinned to the floor by a female ghost with a sense of humor. Thorna was sitting on his chest and told him, "You only need to fear the living." And then she disappeared. And so the man got up in a hurry, broke through an upstairs window, ran across the roof, and yeeted on out of there, and he never came back.
Oh my gosh.
So she sounded like she was a hoot and a half. A bartender said that she came in and to start her shift and noticed that the bar shelf was completely like foobarred. It had been organized the night before, but now the bottles were switched around. Drink mixes were at the wrong end, and some of the liquor bottles had been knocked over. So she figured it had to be the ghost of the Scots. Instead of thinking that somebody else rearranged it, she immediately was like, it's the Scots.
Yeah. They're at it again.
So customers at the club always, like, they took pictures and videos and stuff, and they were always claiming that there were ghost-like images in them.
Mm-hmm.
And the lights upstairs seemed to be coming on more frequently. So this is part of the reason why she was thinking it's the Scots, because the customers were talking more and more about these images in their pictures.
Uh-huh.
The lights were coming on more, despite the fact that the power upstairs was now shut off.
Oh.
But the lights would be coming on.
Interesting.
And people were seeing the lights when they were driving by at night from the street.
When nobody was there at all.
Nobody was there at all, and the club was closed. People drive by and see the lights in the apartment on. So,
wow.
Yeah. Sounds like a fun place to go bebop and...
Let's go.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, if those type of ghosts want to come and hang out and dance and like listen to some old country music, I'm all for that. Yeah. I'm like, that's the kind of ghost I can be haunted by.
I don't want scary. Cool with it. I don't want a scary ghost.
Yeah. I'm like, that's cool. Don't make me spend like $8 on a drink though, and then like ghost me.
Yeah, like come on, tell me ahead of time.
Yeah, and I mean, at least unless I buy a drink I like, and then I can
That's what I was
going
to say. Unless it's one that I like.
Yeah. All right, so the next one's kind of a short story, but there's two basic versions of it.
Oh, okay.
So this one takes place in Kingman, Arizona, in Luana's Canyon. One source says it's referred to as Slaughterhouse Canyon, but I couldn't find that anywhere else.
Interesting.
The first version of the story I found is only one source, the one that called it Slaughterhouse Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of the harsh version. So in this version of the story, which takes place in the 1950s, a man, his kids, and his fiancée decide to go to Luana's Canyon in search of gold. The fiancé and the children did not get along. So the night before the wedding, the fiancé decides enough is enough, and she kills the kids.
What the heck?
She hides the bodies in their house and then takes off into the canyon. And then it's said that later she came to her senses and came back screaming and moaning and begging forgiveness. And now it's said that you can hear her cries and screams between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m. inside the deep canyon.
That's creepy sounding.
Yeah. So she was basically just like, I don't like these kids. And I'm like, why would you be engaged to something? Anyway.
You had
but
to
that's
have known
the only one that I saw that was that version, and they happened to also say it was also called Slaughterhouse Canyon.
Yeah, that sounds
so
like
I'm like, that just sounds like somebody trying
creative
to make it more.
license.
Yeah. So the second version is a variation. Basically starts the same way, but this time it's the man and the woman, and she's usually his wife, and the kids go out into the canyon and set up their house, and this time it's usually in the 1800s.
Okay. Wow.
This time they're usually setting up like for him to go look for gold. He usually leaves regularly for like days at a time. And he's going either hunting or going to look for gold, and then comes back with food or money or, you know, gold or whatever to provide for his family.
Gotcha.
And then one day he doesn't come back. So days keep passing. He doesn't return. The woman and the children start to slowly starve, and their cries of hunger echo off the canyon walls. And eventually the woman can't take it any longer, and she does the only thing she can. She ends the suffering of the children. She kills them, and then she takes her own life. And just like the version of the other version, if you're in the canyon, you can hear the echoes of the children and the woman crying out in anguish in their starvation.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
Yeah. That one I found several different sources. That say that's the legend. So I'm more likely to believe that one than the other one with the woman killing the kids just out of hatred or spite.
Yeah, that doesn't seem...
Yeah. And that one's much more sad and haunting.
Exactly. And it being in the 1800s makes sense.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, that's really sad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now I'm going back to Flagstaff again. So apparently Flagstaff is the place to be.
It's the place.
So, they got some spoopy stuff up in there. So I'm going to tell you about another hotel, the Weatherford.
Ooh, that sounds real bougie.
Yeah. So John W. Weatherford arrived in Flagstaff when Arizona was still a territory, and the West was still the Wild West. And he made plans to build a fine hotel, which he obviously named after himself.
Obviously.
And it's a good thing his last name was decent, or we could have ended up with something dumb. I mean, you know, like, what if his name had been John W. Dick, you know? So, anyway, so the hotel opened...
memorable.
The hotel opened on New Year's Day, 1900, which is interesting, because the Monte Vista opened on New Year's Day as well in 1927.
New Year's Day is like the day to do it, though. Yeah. Starting out that new year.
Apparently so. So the hotel was luxurious and had some high-profile visitors also, including newspaper tycoon William Randolph Hearst.
Oh, okay.
Former President Theodore Roosevelt. You may have heard of him. Old West author Zane Grey. And Wyatt Earp.
Wyatt Earp?
Yeah, I've heard of that dude.
That's cool.
Opening in 1911, Weatherford's next project was the Majestic Opera House.
Oh.
It's called the Majestic.
The Majestic, yeah.
It burned down in 1915.
Womp womp, okay.
But Weatherford had it rebuilt and renamed it as the Orpheum.
Oh.
The Orpheum is still standing today.
That's cool.
So, as with a lot of the hotels I've come across, the Weatherford Hotel has been host to a few different businesses over the years. It was Flagstaff's first telephone exchange company, a theater, a radio station, and a billiard hall, and it's contained a few restaurants. Today, it's a hotel again, having been fully restored to house travelers. It also houses ghosts.
Ghostesses.
So now's your chance to do a creepy, evil laugh. I'll give you a moment. Very good. Good. Scary. Okay.
Tell us about the ghostesses.
So, the ballroom has stained glass windows and an antique Brunswick bar from Tombstone, Arizona.
Oh, that's so cool.
It also has one of the Weatherford's most commonly seen ghosts. She's a woman who people have witnessed floating across the room or, on some occasions, darting from one side of the room to the other.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Like really
Floating
fast.
sounds kind of cool.
Anything
like she's dancing.
that goes too
darting?
fast.
Yeah.
No, that's
creepy.
That gets me.
Yeah. People have also reported a light over the pool table that sways on its own, and the sound of voices and whispers coming from the empty bar in the ballroom. The ballroom isn't the only place that's haunted. There's also a legend that a couple was murdered while on their honeymoon in room 54 in the 1930s. An employee of the hotel was staying in the hotel one night and woke up to a couple sitting on the foot of his bed. So the hotel actually turned that room into a storage closet, but guests still report seeing the couple enter the room.
Creepy.
Additionally, the staff report that when they're on the 4th floor, they've been seeing some strange stuff. They speak of hearing their names being called out when no one's around, and feeling a presence standing behind them.
Oh, that makes me shiver right now.
I know, that's such a creepy feeling. Ghosts probably just are happy that the Weatherford's a hotel again.
Right.
Because, I mean, who wants to haunt a restaurant? But anyway, I think that's it. Y'all probably thought I was going to do Tombstone, didn't you?
I thought you might.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. Because
Okay.
Tombstone is haunted as crap. There are so many, there are so many locations in Tombstone that are haunted and so much history that I'm going to have to do an entire episode on Tombstone.
On just Tombstone. It's basically any place you go in Tombstone, there's going to be some sort of haunting, most likely.
Pretty much. So that, for now, is the Hauntings of Arizona.
Fantastic. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Woo.
That was pretty cool.
Arizona is creepy. I don't like hot places anyway.
Well, I don't really like the hot, but
yeah.
that'd be kind of cool.
I have a feeling it's pretty, though, and I do want to see the Grand Canyon. I know that's not all you have, Arizona. I'm sorry. But I do want to see the Grand Canyon. But
let's go.
Some of these ghosts this sound kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind touring some of these, and I would definitely want to see some of the old hotels because they were just so regal back then.
Beautiful. It was just normal. That was just normal how they made. But also, it's really neat to find out what else they were when they weren't being its primary thing.
Yeah, they just made them whatever.
And
I remember the other states that I did, hotels and stuff, radio stations. Like, that was a common thing. They were radio stations, and they were, I don't know, barber shops or whatever. They were always, I'm like,
some random.
A 14-story hotel was a barber shop? Like, they made them whatever they needed them to be, I guess. Yeah, Arizona had some interesting stuff, and I was totally going to do some Tombstone, and I was like, no.
Like, there's no way I can.
I'm going to have to just get a wild hair and just do a Tombstone episode all on its own.
So keep your ears out for that, guys. You never know when she might be throwing that in.
That'll be a Patreon extra. I'm just kidding. We don't have Patreon.
We don't have that.
I'll just have to do an extra special one for y'all. So that's all Arizona hauntings. And let's see, what's next? Alabama, Alaska, Arizona. Arkansas is next. I have to do the song in my head to know which one comes next.
I do it too most of the time.
So Arkansas is next. Yeah. So
we're coming for you, Arkansas.
We're coming at you. All right. Well, tell them that thing we tell them.
Hey, guys, first of all, thanks for coming back. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And as always, do not forget, watch for deer.